It was one of the most terrific performances I have ever seen from my New York Knicks. And that's being kind, and that's saying a lot because we know how awful they have been this year. The fact that the New York Knicks have subjected people like myself and others who have loved this franchise all of our lives to the season that they have had after coming off a 54-win season was cruel enough. Being inept was cruel. Getting into the trouble that they got into with J.R. Smith getting suspended at the beginning of the season for violating the league drug policy, to Tyson Chandler mouthing off, to Carmelo hinting or alluding to looking forward to free agency, to Raymond Felton getting arrested with after his wife turned in the guns that he allegedly had. The list goes on and on and on. Then you got a president of basketball operations, Phil, coming in to save the day. But this is after the president at the time, Steve Mills, wasn't made available to the media before he got hired 9 months ago, and we never heard from him but one time, which was the first week he took the damn job. All of this stuff, this just mounting bits of evidence to show how dysfunctional this franchise is. It has now trickled down. It has officially trickled down and contaminated the Knicks players to a point where, Skip, I didn't want to go here. I can't go to another game, Skip. I'm so done with them right now. I'm ashamed. I even have to talk about them. How embarrassing, how pathetic they were last night. 51 points in a quarter to these Los Angeles Lakers. No Dwight Howard because he's in Houston. No Steve Nash because he's injured. No Kobe Bryant because he's injured. I mean, are you kidding me? Steve Blake isn't even on the damn team anymore. And still you give up 51 points. No Pau Gasol. It was wide open shots. It wasn't even a basketball game, Skip. It was a game of horse, okay? And the Knicks were losing miserably. They couldn't even get an H in the equation. H-O-R-S-E. Couldn't even get an H, Skip. They were just getting obliterated at every turn. Xavier Henry, Nick Young. It didn't matter, Skip. These dudes took the Knicks to school. They were dunking the basketball. They were shooting threes. The threes, by the way, were uncontested. And this is supposed to be Mike Woodson's signature. Who has been a defender of Mike Woodson? That would happen to be me, Skip Bayless. I can't defend this man today. This is such a horrific performance of such astronomical and epic proportions. I would not have blamed Phil Jackson one bit if he had sat there and fired everybody, and fired the coaches, and then looked at the players and made them fly commercial to Sacramento. That's how bad they were. They don't even deserve a free flight. They should have to pay for it. It was that bad. I'm done. I can't take it anymore, man. It's just, how do you lose? How do you give up 51 points in the third quarter to these Lakers? How do you do that? How in God's name could you look that over? How do you lose by 31 points to these Lakers? They don't even deserve to have the Laker name, and they blew the Knicks out. Go ahead, Skip.
These Lakers.
Now you know a little bit of how I felt the morning after my Cowboys gave up record passing yards and record first downs to Drew Brees in New Orleans on a Sunday night this last season. Now, to your Knicks. I was reminded last night of a line from one of my all-time favorite movies, Anchorman, a movie that Carrie loves and I know you like. Do you remember Luke Wilson in the gang fight when suddenly he gets his arm chopped off and he looks up and he says, I did not see that one coming. I did not see this coming for your Knicks last night. And I'm objective about your Knicks. I'm going to remind you, your Knicks just recently won 8 straight games. I'm going to remind you, Phil Jackson just last week was hailed as the savior of the Knicks. He left Kerry's Lakers for your New York Knicks in a shock to many people. And he sat in about the 8th row as he watched his Knicks win their 8th straight game. And I thought, wow. And I posed the question to you the next morning. Crazy as it sounds, is it possible the Knicks are going to steal that 8th playoff spot from the now reeling Atlanta Hawks? and actually make a run through the Eastern Conference playoffs, which are to be had right now with two reeling teams in Heat and Pacers at the top, and we're about to talk about those two. And you were like, nah, I don't want to hear that. But I said, Stephen A., the Atlanta Hawks are a disaster right now. They have lost 3 straight games. Tonight, they play at Minnesota. I'll bet they'll lose that one. They go home for Portland. I think they might lose that one. And then they go to Washington. They might lose again. They are begging your Knicks to take the 8th playoff spot. And your Knicks the other night on Monday night at home led Cleveland by 15 until they got Jared jacked, as in hijacked, in the third and fourth quarters when he scored 23 of his 31 points and made 10 out of 13 shots in the second half. And I told you, there's no shame in that. Jared Jack has done that to a lot of people, including my Spurs. So I'm saying, don't lose hope. They go to L.A., then they go back-to-back to Sacramento. These are 2 very winnable games for a team that won 8 in a row and was up by 15 on Cleveland. And they won the first quarter last night by 8 points. Then they lost the second quarter to what's left of the Lakers by 16. And then they lost the third quarter by 20. And you got to explain this one to me, because I'm looking at the third quarter stats right now. I'm looking at Carmelo made 5 out of 6 shots in the third quarter alone, and his partner in crime, Amari, made 4 out of 5 shots. So your 2 big guns make 9 of 11 shots in the third quarter because the Lakers don't play any defense either. How many times have we talked about that under Mike D'Antoni? I'm not exaggerating. Stephen A., I think you and I and Kerry and Mike could play better defense than your Knicks played in the third quarter, because at least we could run at the three-point shooters and wave at them.